You know, we were decriminalized in Rhode Island from 1979 until 2009, as long as you were indoors. And Scott Cummings did a great research project and found that between 2003 to 2009, gonorrhea went down 40% and rape went down 30% for the entire state. So that's obviously a health benefit, and in the last couple of years I'm watching the rape numbers rise. What we do know about New Zealand, when New Zealand decriminalized prostitution, the government ran a 5-year review to see how it was working out. And they found they had just about rid the sex industry of exploitation, except for when it came to migrant workers, because even if you had a work visa, you couldn't even be a stripper. So any form of criminalization, whether it's migration, whether it's prostitution, is what allows exploitation and violence. Globally, sex workers report the majority of the violence comes by the hand of the police. And I want to give you a recent example that happened 2 months ago. So just the other day, they did 2 big arrests up in New Hampshire. There's 24 migrant women that are Chinese and Asian, and they're framing it as their victims. And basically, they work a circuit. They go to one city, their support staff picks them up at the train station, provides them housing. They do pay the house a third of their income, but this is big money to them compared to where they came from. But just a couple months before that, when 8 cops got caught running 7 brothels in New York City from women from South America and priced them at $60 a pop and took half the money. And then if you were a cop, you only had to pay $20. Now think about it, in Central America, $20 is a huge lot of money. Okay, but the fact that they could have got $200 to $300 an hour in New York, but they were catering to the police. And this was the funny part. So I'm watching the media, and no one's calling it sex trafficking for 2 days. And then the prosecutor says, we were contacted by the human trafficking people, and we didn't understand why they were interested in this simple prostitution case. And now they have totally flipped the narrative, and we think what they've done is more outrageous than what the police have done. So I want to take a minute to tell you about Shalini Hunter, who runs deviant abolition in Massachusetts. She's an oil baroness, Harvard graduate, and she's actually been caught running around the country giving police and prosecutors hundreds of thousands of dollars if they will sign an MOA to do vice stings to arrest so many clients. And she also gets to frame all their media to make sure they always use sex trafficking and not sex worker prostitution. So the fact now, why are we against end the demand? Because if we had a magic wand that can make all our clients go away, how would we pay the rent and feed our children? This fact that they want to make all clients look like sexual deviants, and I can attest, clients are from all different walks of life. They're educated people, they're doctors, they're lawyers, the guy that bags your groceries at Stop and Shop. They're just like anyone else. This idea that clients mean us harm is kind of silly. People posing as clients mean you harm. If a cable man is breaking into, someone posing as the cable man breaks into houses, they don't tell you the cable man do it, they say someone posing as the cable guy. But for some reason, when it comes to sex workers, they want to paint all the men as deviants. And for instance, when we did the US research, we found that only 36% of over 1,500 sex workers identified as heterosexual. So I'm a heterosexual woman, but let's pretend for a minute I'm not. Let's say I'm gay. So if there's a man around in my life, he could be my neighbor, my friend, a driver, someone I do doubles with, he's automatically going to be labeled as the pimp and the trafficker because he's a man. Well, women can traffic people and abuse people too. Much of what I talk about are female sex workers, but I do want to acknowledge that there are male sex workers, there are transgender sex workers, but the trafficking narrative is about saving young white women from evil men with dark skin. So next up we have, dun dun dun, oh, we're going to do our memorial slideshow.